So today I had one lady that has been engaging me online about her immigration journey asked me this question, which triggered this video, because I felt that if she is asking this question, then there are a lot of people out there who might be having the same question on their mind and might be looking for answers. So I felt at least I should put together this video to guide you to at least get the necessary answers that you need to help you decide whether to make that decision or not. And the question that she asked was, is Canada worth moving to considering my status? And this person that I'm talking about is somebody who has a career back home. Basically, she's well to do for herself and she's asking whether she should consider moving to Canada or not. My answer to her about whether Canada is worth moving to, and this is my personal answer, was a big yes. This is because personally, before I came in, I had done my research, so I was able to answer yes. But one thing I found out since I moved here is a lot of people might not be able to answer this question for themselves. I made a video last year about the 4 stages of cultural adjustments when you move to a new country, or even when you move to Canada, for example. This is something that personally I went through, I've seen people go through, but I realized that most people were not attracted to this video because they didn't have that catchy title that people are actually looking for. Even though I felt that it had enough educational content that people can actually learn from. The difference that personally I have found between the people who are able to answer yes to this question and those who are not able to answer yes is the fact that those who answer yes, you realize that they come in with a strategy. These people actually come in prepared, and those who are not able to answer yes, most of these people are actually winging it. They are coming in hoping that they are landing in the land of milk and honey and things are able to, or things will just fall into place. So they land and they get the shock of their life and they are not able to come out of that shock. So if you ask them, they will tell you that I can't answer yes to that question. Just to recap what I said in that video last year, there are actually 4 stages that you go through, and this has been proven by psychologists. If you move to any new place and your aim is to immigrate to that particular place, the first stage is what they call the honeymoon phase. And most times this happens to us when we travel to a new country for vacation. If the goal is to go and just on vacation, you get there, you enjoy all the good things in the country. Because your aim is not to actually to stay, you are actually like on a honeymoon phase. And that's what happened to most people when they land into a new country the very first time. They find themselves in the honeymoon phase where you are enjoying all the good things that you've read about and you've seen. The second stage is what we call the disenchantment phase. That's what we call the transition phase. Within this phase, this person, it just dawned on this person that I'm actually here to stay, and they start finding ways and means, things about the country that they need to at least prepare themselves for, which will allow them to settle into that country. And what I've realized, most of the newcomers who come in actually stay too long at this transition phase, because the honeymoon phase might last for a couple of months before it dawns on you that rent is going to be due. You are going to have to pay rent every month. You are going to pay hydro every month. The bills are going to come every month. Unlike back home where you can pay your rent annually, here at the end of the month you can't go and tell your landlord that I don't have it, just let me stay there, I'll pay later. So the honeymoon phase, most people don't stay there for too long. But the transition phase, that's where a lot of people have issues with. Then there's the third phase that we call the integration phase. That's where now the person starts networking, trying to connect with people, gathering knowledge about the place that they found themselves in. Then the last stage is what we call the acceptance phase. It's when you get to this acceptance phase, that's where you're able to say yes to this particular question. So the earlier you can go through these phases and get to the acceptance phase, the quicker you can now answer yes. Is Canada worth moving to, considering your status, or whether the country that you are thinking of moving to? Because like the hockey stick, when you move to any new place, even like Canada, no matter who you are, if you were here in your career, you might be forced sometimes to come here, come down a little before you now recover and start growing back up. And most people, that trajectory of going down, that's where they get a shock of their life. They will now be saying that, oh, back home I was a senior manager here, how come I can't just transition into a senior manager role? Because maybe culturally your management style might not fit the companies that are here. All those things I used to do back home might not be able to work here. My advice to anybody considering moving to Canada or any other country is at least you should be able to answer these 4 questions before you make the decision to pick up your bag, because it's going to be key in this journey that you are going to undertake. The first question that you need to answer is, why are you thinking of moving? This why is going to be very important. In the hard times, this why is going to keep you strong and moving. When you are walking through snow and miss your bus, and you have to now walk through snow, cold and chilled, that why is what's going to keep you warm, because you know your why. Most people cannot answer this why, so you find them wanting and they are just flowing with the wind. Wherever people tell them, that's where they are going to go. So before you pick your bag and move, understand your why. For some people, their why is their children. They are moving to Canada because they want to give their children a better future. For others, their why is career growth. They are hoping that by moving to Canada, they are going to get that step change in their growth to be able to reach where they want to be. At least it's going to put them on the trajectory to get to that level that they are looking for. Secondly, you need to decide your where. And when I say where, you need to decide which province you want to land in, which city you need to go to. Canada is very big. A single province might be as big as another country out there. So just picking the province, you even need to know the city that you need to go to, because this will help you to decide on some of the strategies that you need to put in place to achieve your goal. Because your choice of province sometimes might make it easier when it comes to even job search. It might make it easier when it comes to cost of living, might make it easier even when it comes to the pathways that you can use to permanent residency. And your choice of province might even make it easier sometimes for connections or networking. So you need to make a very big decision on your where. So the third question that you need to answer before you jump on the flight to move to Canada is, you need to understand your how. And when I say the how are you planning to move from whichever status that you are coming through to get to permanent residency? Because it's possible, if you are coming in, Canada allows dual intent, so you can come in as a temporary resident, but you can still have ambitions of staying to permanent residency. The how is going to be your strategy. How are you going to strategize to move from whichever way you came through to permanent residency? This is something that you need to research, inform yourself about, and have a strategy. Don't get here and try to wing it, because winging it might not help you. So do the research and know your how. There are different pathways out there. Know which ones you are going to use. As much as you are listening to people, have your own strategy in place before you come in. The last question that I feel you should answer before you jump on a flight is, which what are you coming with? And when I say the what visa are you coming on? There are people who are coming in on study permit route. They know why they chose that one. They've done their research and they know what the implications are for that particular visa. They know what the restrictions are, what they can do and what they cannot do. If you choose to come in as a visitor visa, you need to understand what the implications are if your goal is for PR. That's why you need to know your how. So whichever what you are coming with, you make sure that you know your how to get to the final destination. So personally, I feel before you jump on the flight, you need to know your why, know your where, know your how, and at least understand your what before you come in. And by having access to this question, you might be able to have your strategy in place, which might help you and give you a smooth landing before you get to Canada. So now that you've been able to at least answer these 4 questions, let's at least look at some of the benefits of moving to Canada if you are looking to move to Canada. The first one is quality of life. I've seen people move here for better quality of life. And me personally, when I moved here, I've seen it for myself. If your aim is to come here and hustle, then the quality of life, you might not experience it. But if you have your strategy in place and you have your why, which is very strong, and you've planned properly, you might be able to go through those 4 stages that I spoke about and get to at least the final stage. That's when you now start enjoying that quality of life. Secondly, there are also good economic opportunities. If your aim is to move here and possibly improve your skills, work and at least improve yourself, when you get here, there are lots of job opportunities. There are people who will tell you that there's no jobs out there. But trust me, the people who have actually done the work and done the research, they are actually landing the jobs. Thirdly, there's cultural diversity. This is like an immigrant country where everybody here, one way or the other, came from somewhere. You are going to meet people from diverse backgrounds. And if you have open mind and prepared to learn, you will learn so much about people's culture. You'll be able to educate and improve yourself. You'll become like a world citizen because you are learning from multiple people, wherever you find yourself, you have people from diverse backgrounds with diverse views that you can learn. Then there's the educational system. Here, the educational system is very renowned. The universities and colleges are very renowned. So if you come here to study, you know you are getting quality education. Even people who came here as PRs, you realize that they always end up going back to study because they want to improve themselves, because that education is going to be beneficial to you in the work environment. So if you are coming here, there is one of the things that at least you can know that you are going to get when you move here as a benefit. You are going to get quality life, the economic opportunities, cultural diversity, and there's the educational system that at least you can count on to be able to educate and improve yourself. And if your why was your children, you know they are also going to be educated when they move here. So now that we know some of the benefits that are available to you if you decide to move to Canada, let's look at some of the ways that possibly you can come here, or some of the routes that you can choose to come here. The first one will be students. I just did a video on why I think that studying route might be the best route for you to come to Canada. If you choose to study in Canada, one, whilst working, you are able to work. Secondly, post-graduation, if you went to a school that meets the DLI requirement, you might be able to get a PGWP. That's a postgraduate work permit that will allow you to at least stay in Canada, continue working, and get the needed work experience. Then secondly, there are people who might consider to come here as skilled workers. That's another way that you can choose to come in. I know people who came in as skilled workers. So they came in with actual job employment waiting for them. The employers actually went, look at their skills and said, we need your skill, and brought them in. Then there are those who might consider coming in possibly on a temporary residency status. That's, they might not use a student route or a skilled worker route. They might consider possibly using a visitor route. They might apply and say that I want to come in for a conference, but their main goal might be to stay. Or they might come in for tourism, but their main goal is to stay, as much as Canada allows dual intent, which is they allow you to have both goals of coming in as a permanent resident, but still have dreams of staying for long term. If you are coming in as a temporary status, you need to have a plan in place of how you want to transition from that status possibly to PR, because most times there might be a limit to how long you can stay. Even though they've given you a 10-year visitor visa, they might ask you to stay for 6 months. So if you are coming in for that 6 months, make sure you have a strategy in place to be able to get you from where you are to that end goal. And me personally, my advice is, if there's something that you don't understand, try and reach out to an immigration consultant, because these people are trained to answer all the questions that you need answered. The third thing that I would advise that you need to look at before you consider moving is personal considerations. This is one thing that I've realized most people forget about when it comes to moving to Canada. Sometimes you need to play some of the things to your advantage. Then I would advise that look at your long-term goals. What are your long-term goals of coming to Canada? That's where the why that I spoke about initially comes into play. I'm hoping that one way or the other, you might have gotten some knowledge nuggets out of all these things that I'm saying. And possibly that can inform your decision one way or the other and help you at least maneuver and avoid some of the bumps that I've seen people bump along the way. Answering some of these questions might make your journey much more smoother. Had I known, they say it's always at last. And sometimes if there's something that you don't know, I always advise reach out to people, ask questions. If you got value out of this video, kindly hit the like button so that YouTube will recommend this video to other people. And let's engage in the comment section. Until the next video, cheers.